All right.
Hi, welcome everybody. My name is Mike Filippetti, and we are welcoming you to our GEG Ontario event. Before we begin, I would like to turn it to Jocelyn right away because we would like to have a land acknowledgement.
Great. Thank you very much. Now, okay, I'm going to present my screen and walk you through a little bit of our land acknowledgement for today. So give me just a moment and I'll do that for you. There we go. All right. Now, let's see if this will cooperate with us today. There we go. Now, traditionally, if you are in various parts of Ontario, you may very well be gathered on the traditional lands of the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Haudenosaunee, the Anishinaabe, or the Huron-Wendat. So we want to acknowledge our shared land spaces. But you might not very well be within Ontario right now. It is summertime. You could be just about anywhere. So for me, for example, I spend a lot of my summer times on the East Coast, which is where my family is from. And so we share land there with the peoples of the Mi'kmaq Nation. And so one of the things that I love doing every summer is checking out the tidal bore in Moncton, New Brunswick. This is the Petitcodiac River. It's called, nicknamed the Muddy Petitcodiac, because it's a really muddy river, and the water comes all the way up this river. And I could tell you all about the tidal bore and tidal amplitudes and so on and so forth. Or I could tell you the legend of the tidal bore that says that in the days of Glooscap, the river water from the Bay of Fundy was clear and fresh. Then a monster eel swam down the river and pushed all of the fishes and all the fresh water into the salty bay. Turtle told Glooscap of the cruel hardships that resulted. Glooscap gave great powers to Lobster, who grew much in size and strength and fought the evil eel. The long battle stirred up much mud and many waves far up the river until the eel was killed. And even today in Glooscap's Bay and on the muddy river, with an elbow bend, the battle scene takes place twice a day. So this is a little bit of the story that belongs to this land and is part of the narrative that is shared in that area. So we also have in this slide deck that we will share throughout this evening, a link to nativeland.ca. So you can check there what land and what area you are on. And that way you can begin to learn some of the stories and respond to some of the Truth and Reconciliation calls to action, to be able to share some of those stories with our students and invite and include those things into our curriculums. So I wanted to acknowledge the lands that I have shared in a variety of places throughout the country as we move on with our events this evening. Thank you.
Great. Well, thank you, Jocelyn. I'd like to take a moment just to explain what GEGs are for those people who are new to it, and encourage you to attend other GEG events as we have them. Google Educator Groups are independently run communities of educators who inspire and empower each other to meet the needs of students through technology, both in the classroom and beyond. So you will see various GEGs, especially if you're on social media. Twitter is a common place for GEGs to post things, and they're from various regions worldwide. And Google really is pushing for more groups to be started. So even though if you're in Ontario, you can definitely follow GEG Ontario, which is at GEG Ontario on Twitter. But you can also follow other ones as well. I know we're close to Minnesota. I'm up in Thunder Bay right now, and I do follow that one. I've been to a few Google summits in Minneapolis. So wherever you travel, you can definitely connect with some GEGs and meet some great people. If you want to connect with us, there's our Twitter. We have a Google Group mailing list and our website and YouTube channel as well. So please check us out. I'll flip to, if we go to the next slide, just here are our GEG Ontario leaders. This is my last event as an official leader, so I'm no longer on the list here. But we do have some new faces, and we have some people on the panel tonight. So I think I'll just, we can leave this up for a little bit. We try and get people from all over the region of Ontario, the various regions, and maybe we can go through. Maybe we'll start with Kathy to introduce herself, and we can go through everyone who's here tonight, just so you can tell us who you are and why you're in the GEG, what interests you, and where you're from.
Sure, Mike, thanks. Hi, my name's Kathy Lott. As Mike said, it's his last. Well, it's my first, Mike. This is my very first GEG Ontario Leaders Group through this webinar, so I'm very excited to be here. I'm actually formally retired from the York Region District School Board, but I like to say rewired rather than retired. And just by that, I mean, I'm still very much involved in education. I'm currently working on contract work through the Ontario Principals Council with School Mental Health Ontario. And I'm fortunate that I get to share an activity with you very soon about a mental health check-in. So we're working on doing lots of social emotional learning work combined with G Suite and hopefully making some work more manageable for teachers for the upcoming year. So I have been in education for 30 years. I worked 15 years in the TDSB and 15 years in the York Region, and very happy to be part of this group as a lead learner.
Great, thank you. Iniel, do you want to go next? I'm trying to find my mic here.
There you go. Yes. Hello, everyone. It is also my first time with the GEG group this year, and I'm very excited about being part of a group of educators across Ontario and also connecting with all of you moving forward. I have been an educator for about 19 years now, 15 years in a middle school setting, a lot of sort of integration of technology within middle school, especially with STEM, robotics, coding, and also a heavily TDSB with G Suites. I was also a digital lead learner and mentor within the TDSB and had the opportunity to engage in dialogue with colleagues in terms of enhancing their pedagogy through technology integration. I have taught in Asia and Central America and have been engaged in using G Suites in those environments as well, and learned a lot from an international cohort. Currently, I'm a vice principal at a very vibrant and energetic and resilient community in Scarborough. I love being there and really looking forward to the start of the school year with all the unknowns that are surrounding us, but really excited to be part of that community again. One of the things that I'm really passionate about is really building on the collective strength of communities, whether it be communities within the classroom, within the schools, or beyond with families from the local community. And really trying to use the Google Apps to leverage that community strength and collective strength. And so I look forward to connecting, collaborating, and creating with a broader group of educators and colleagues in this environment, and building a collective knowledge that we can always go back to and learn from. So thank you.
Thank you. Chantal?
Hi, my name is Chantal Ross, and I not as far north as Mike, but I am probably the one that's the most north after. So I'm representing Simcoe Muskoka Catholic District School Board. So I stumbled upon the GEG Ontario last year on a late night Twitter reading session, and after that, it was off to the races. This has been an extraordinary group to be a part of. This is my first session as well. And through Google, through the Google Global group, I've been working on Google certification. So I've finished level 1. I'm close to writing for level 2 and working on the Google coaching certificate. Also, the reason why is I teach core French, and technology has been the hook into getting my students to connect with other language learners around the world through Google Hangouts, chats, and so forth. So technology has been a real key instrument in my teaching approach the last few years. So I'm hoping to broaden my horizon, connecting with other educators, and this is a good start. And thank you for welcoming me into your group.
Great. And Jocelyn, I know you did the land acknowledgement. You're kind of behind the scenes running the show. Do you want to talk at all?
Sure. I'll jump in and say hello. My name is Jocelyn Curvin, and I'm currently a digital literacy consultant with the York Region District School Board. This is, I think I'm headed into my 22nd year of teaching. I spent the first 18 years in the classroom, both in elementary and secondary. So I did my first few years in elementary as a grade 7 and 8 intermediate music teacher. Kathy was actually one of my VPs at one time, I think. And so started integrating technology kind of in little bits even then, and then moved on to the secondary panel and taught in 2 different high schools. And as I got further along in my career, I integrated more and more technology into my music classrooms to invite that creativity side of things, as well as those performance aspects, and just sort of give kids some new tools and new strategies. And from there, got really interested in all the Google tools that are available, and started learning about them more myself, and participating in ed tech team kind of activities and ed tech camps all over Ontario, and really kind of looking at these really interesting and innovative ways to use gamification and innovative kinds of things with my students to really bring out that creative side of things. And then when this digital literacy consultant role became available in York Region, I thought that sounds like kind of a neat fit. And so I made that move, and that has led me to making more of those connections with groups like the GEG leaders, and so that's part of the reason that I have jumped in and decided to get involved with the GEG Ontario Leaders, because it's been such a wonderful experience helping students learn all about ways they can be fun and innovative in their classrooms. And I so enjoy also helping my colleagues with all kinds of neat ideas and seeing the great innovation that they have, and the ways that we can leverage all the tools that are out there for that. So that's kind of a little bit of where I'm coming from. So thank you.
Great. And it looks like Andrew's trying to connect. He's having some technical difficulties, so maybe we'll introduce him a little later on.
Okay.
And Kathy, if you want to take things over, I know you have a great presentation for us tonight.
Sure. So I'd like us to take a brief but a very important moment to do a mental health check-in with everyone here tonight. So just like at school when we return, before we push anything at students academically, we need to be asking how they're doing, with no unrealistic expectations that we can somehow solve all their problems or magically fix everything and make all this go away, but just a lot of acknowledgement, a lot of listening to our students, and a lot of collaborative teamwork trying to get students the support that they might need. So we need to learn how to prioritize mental health and well-being at school and build confidence in noticing when students might require a helping hand. So we anticipate that all students will need a chance to debrief, build relationships, feel a sense of safety and belonging, calm anxiety, re-engage with learning, and honor missed rituals and milestones when they return to school. So I believe our first priority when we're back at school has to be, how are we going to support our students' social and emotional development? Well, together we can welcome students warmly. We can build their mental health, self-care, and social emotional skills, reduce stigma, and encourage help seeking. And this can start with a daily mental health check-in. So I encourage you to please click on the image, a mental health check-in, in our slide deck, You Matter, and participate in our anonymous mental health check-in tonight. So if we can all take a moment to do that, we'll wait a little bit and then we will pull up the Google form. I'm sorry, the Google Sheet, and we'll show you what the responses look like, because this is something you might want to do in your classroom. So as participants are still completing just a mental health check-in, I see that Mike, you've got up, or Jocelyn, I think you've got up on the screen there. We're actually looking at the presentation of the Google Sheet. And what you'll see based on people's responses is they're color-coded. So this is something you may or may not have done before, but within Google, we're able to do something called conditional formatting. Now, thanks to Jennifer Casa-Todd, who's not with us this evening, but she did create a video on how to do the conditional formatting, and it's on the resources slide coming up. But I really personally like this because what I've done is, based on the responses, I've color-coded them green, yellow, and red. So what I could quickly do when you have a large group of students, hopefully not too large come this September, is at a quick glance, you can see for example, in this scenario, I created the I'm fabulous and I'm pretty good as the green color. But you can see some yellow and red. And those are students that I know needed some additional support. So I see a couple of reds coming up, and those are people that have actually asked for check-ins. So this Google Sheet will allow me to create my small groups. And I will pull students together because students have shared this information with me privately. That's also why I like this. Sometimes, community circles are fabulous, but starting the year after, not being in school since March with a community circle is not a very safe way to go. But certainly this is a safe entry back into school, or safe re-entry back into school. So people can share how they're feeling, and then we can provide some additional support based on how they're feeling. I could talk about this for a very long time, but what we've done is I've pulled two resources that I think you will find very helpful in terms of how to set this up. And what actually the tiered support means in terms of supporting all students in your classroom. You might know the tiered model of support through Learning for All, and also through any School Mental Health Assist Ontario resources that you might have used. So again, those resources are here for you in this presentation coming up on our resource slide. So thanks very much for participating. If you do want to learn a little bit more about how to set up the actual Google form to do a mental health check-in, again, Jennifer has provided a video tutorial on that, and that again is available on a resources page. So please do seriously consider doing a mental health check-in with your students, and I think they will thank you for that. They need a safe space to say how they're feeling, and it will help them to realize and acknowledge that they matter to you, and will help you just put a pause on academics at the start and just have a space for kids to talk. And again, there's lots of resources that will help you with the actual practical setup of that. I'm just looking in the comments to see if there's any questions. If you have any direct questions about that process now, you can ask me now, or feel free to connect with me later. And I do hope that the resources online here will help you out. Okay, Mike?
Yeah, very good.
Thank you again for participating.
Okay, so moving on. Sorry, I'm just gathering some things here. Let's go through the next slide, how we might build community, whether we are offline, whether we are on or offline, sorry. So do we want to just go around the panel perhaps? And also, if you're watching this and you want to contribute, please feel free to use the comments section.
I can go ahead and start. It's great to see the comments, everyone's contributing in the comments section. Thank you for all of your comments so far. So I kind of broke it off into offline and online as well, and thinking pre-COVID, pre-March break, I think some of the things that that worked really well in the space is obviously, as Kathy mentioned, community circles where opinions are respected, heard, validated without judgment, right? But that takes a long time to build up that level of comfort when you are in a space. And along with that, opportunities to practice empathy within the classroom space. And really, I think what it kind of boils down to is all the activities that we do in our learning space, where we build confidence in individuals to kind of validate their own enoughness, and any opportunity to validate that own identity, I think is fantastic and is essential in building that community. Because if you don't feel yourself seen or heard in that space, you're not going to have that sense of community forming. I think as well, as an educator in the space, modeling that vulnerability within our learning environment, whether it be with staff or with students, and creating a space that embodies a sense of play and fun. And I saw a lot of that happen during the online component as well. I think a lot of teachers who had those set practices established from the start of the school year were successfully able to continue that in the online environment. A lot of students, as Kathy mentioned, in terms of well-being and emotional support, asked the educators to continue the community circles. And I got a lot of questions. I remember teachers asking, well, how can I have a community circle in a virtual environment? And so we had a dialogue about what might work and what might not work. But really online, continuing those opportunities to dialogue and share. So in terms of remote learning, a lot of that community building was continued with the regular check-ins using virtual platforms. So many of our teachers in our space use surveys that they would create and include using Google Forms, and include that in Google Classrooms in their streams, or sharing it that way and using the data, as Kathy showed with her with the well-being check-ins. And connecting individually as well as a group. So using Google Meet to check in as a group, whether it be a large group, a small group, or even individually with phone calls, I guess, that connection. And really what it comes down to, I think, is opportunities to share feelings and thoughts in a safe and real-time manner to continue building that community.
Great. Anyone else want to add in? I see Andrew's here, so maybe we'll put Andrew on the spot a little bit because we all got to introduce ourselves. So Andrew, if you want to introduce yourself and where you're from, and then if you have any input on this as well, that would be great.
Yeah, sorry about that. I was just having a little bit of technical difficulties to get started. But Yeah, so I'm based in Ottawa and working to support students and teachers in this region for all their googliness and as well as other things. So just in terms of the question we have, how might we build community offline or online? I was thinking about Flipgrid as an opportunity. It's great for both in-person and virtual experiences, so students can share about how they're feeling, daily check-ins, struggles that they might be having. So I just thought that would be a fun one. I haven't used it yet but I think I might take the plunge this year and try to use it with my students going forward.
Awesome. I'll jump in if you want. I'm a big fan of games. If you can tell from the background, I love board games and video games and the whole works. And so one of my big community kind of pieces is certainly using games. And I know that when I had I taught summer school this summer entirely online, and we did a lot of that kind of just quick little questions. I call them attendance questions as well. So instead of asking the kids just to say their name or read down the list of names and they say the word here, we used to use attendance questions. And they might be something like, hey guys, tell me today what your favorite snack food is. And they may pop that into the chat if it's an online version, or if we are in class, I'm going to call their name on my attendance list. And as we go down the list, they're going to share their favorite little snack food. So we did a lot of those kinds of things to kind of get to know each other. I did a lot of using the chat window in my synchronous kind of class times, where I would ask a question like, put the letter Y for yes. So put the letter Y in the chat if you are a dog lover, or put the letter Y in the chat if you have a sibling. So that not only was I getting to know those students, but the students themselves could start to see who was saying yes to certain things. And then if we were doing live video chats, it might literally be, put your hand up if you have something blue today. Or it might be something along the lines of even doing a four corners activity. So if we're in the classroom, four corners, of course, would be moving from one space to the other. I'm not so sure how the moving thing will work this year. So maybe it will be moving your water bottle from one corner of your desk to the other. Or if you are working in a digital and online world, it might be a matter where your four corners might be, okay, point up to your right, the right part of your screen if you agree or if you strongly agree, or those kinds of things. So we can still use a lot of those tools for building community, whether we are in our online world or our offline world. And I find that some of those games sometimes, or just those quick little attendance questions, and then we did things like playing Boggle. I got that idea from Jen Castle-Todd. So grabbed a quick screenshot of a Boggle board and posted that in my online space and shared my screen. And then the kids just typed in all kinds of words in the chat. So all those sorts of things, and using those same kind of ideas as a quick little exit card at the end as well. So whether we are online or offline, a lot of those things will transfer back and forth and contribute to building that community. So I've had some success with those sorts of things. So if you have any questions about any of those ideas, or you'd like to know where I got some of the screenshots and things, by all means, reach out and contact me, and I'll help you out.
Sorry, I was on mute.
Oh.
Thank you, Chantel. Would you like to add have some input as well?
Sure. Just looking at some of the comments, Andrew mentioned Flipgrid. Again, I'm a strong proponent of technology, and hopefully most of our students will be bringing devices to school, because I'm a little concerned, as many people are, of how you're going to share devices. So we are definitely encouraging our students to bring their own devices, but using Pear Deck and Flipgrid, I find that those two tools really help to build a sense of community. With Pear Deck, you can ask the questions and they can respond instantly. There's no need for anyone to move around. And you can see the responses up on the screen, and discussions can go from there. And the students you can choose to have them put their responses in anonymously. So they're not worried about their names being projected and so forth. So Pear Deck has a lot of different activities, games, and so forth that are already built into the program. So that is definitely something to check out. And there is a free version that allows you to do a lot of the main activities. You don't need the paid subscription. And also Flipgrid. During the remote learning, we used a lot of the Flipgrid, especially in language learning. It was one of the ways that the students could practice their speaking and commenting and listening to others, and sort of trying to have some interaction, which is difficult when we're all going to be in our own little space. So trying to think of some activities, like Josh was saying, lots of games happen in a language learning classroom. So we're sort of having to rethink how we can incorporate that and maintaining the distance. So definitely worth looking at Pear Deck and Flipgrid.
Great, thank you. Kathy.
Sorry, just unmute there. Thank you, Mike. Wow, I want to be in all of your classes. It's so nice to hear colleagues talking about what you're really talking about, social emotional learning opportunities. We know right now it's got to be about connection over content. So finding any ways to connect. I know talking to some students that were working through remote learning last year, they certainly said what they really appreciated was the opportunity to use the chat features after whatever particular lesson was going on. Because the kids, I mean, we need to realize that they might not have any social interaction outside of what's happening online for them remotely, right? So any opportunity to allow kids to continue to chat online. We've got to prioritize the wellness and welcoming and belonging. So all of those activities, I just so impressed of hearing the different ways that we can create community online, and really just knowing as professionals that what we're doing here is helping to build social emotional learning skills so kids feel safe and respected and valued and heard. So I just want to applaud all of you again. I would love to be in your classes, and I hope that everyone will be opening their class with some real serious thought about doing these kinds of things.
Thank you, Kathy. It's a great question. I don't know what everyone's model is where you are. So we just announced ours. I'm a high school principal in Thunder Bay, and we've just announced, so our students we're in the quadmester. So we're doing periods 1 and 3 to start. So week 1, students will go in the morning for period 1. They're going to catch a bus at 11:10 in the morning and go home. And period 3 will be online virtually. They'll do that all afternoon for the week, and then we're going to flip it the following week. So period 3 will be in the morning in person, and period 1 online. So this is a really important question for that, because we will run into other technical issues as well with various internet access, depending on where you live, if you're rural or if you're in the city. And then we'll be doing our best to get devices to everybody. The internet seems to be the bigger issue. So maybe we can touch base on that a little bit later too. But if we want to go to the next, how we can support each other, I think that is an extremely important question, because we all come with various strengths and various needs, and it's trying to mesh those together and find time for colleagues and help people out as well. So maybe we can talk about how we can support each other. Maybe even open up to give some examples of things that we could use ourselves from the needs standpoint, because I know it's nice to be able to reflect and see if there are people who can help us out as well. Before we go on to, I just want to go back. I noticed some comments. Lindsay had posted some comments as well about doing well-being checks in Google Forms and creating videos. Lindsay, I'm going to try. I see when I hover over this, I haven't used this platform a lot, but it says show, and I just want to see if I click on this, if it puts it up on the screen for everybody, or if I just crash the whole system. Cross your fingers, everybody. Oh, there we go. Very professional. So here's Lindsay's. I would like to use well-being check-ins in with Google Forms, creating videos of me without my mask at home to watch in class, and students creating books of awesome about themselves, followed up by lots of time outside with distance activities and games and read-alouds. A few others down here too. Yeah, I think we're good. All right, so we'll move on to how we can support each other, and I will try to get this off. There we go. Okay. Anyone want to go first as far as how we can support each other?
I'll jump in. Sure. I guess a lot of it, I feel like we need to maybe sort of find some of the light and the humor as best we can. I have a teacher friend who has been using one of her social media channels for nothing other than sharing funny memes. And, you know, sometimes that's just what I need. I just need to kind of go and check out some of that lightness and that funniness and that humor sometimes. And then group chats can be another way to do it. I know that there are people who are using WhatsApp chats, whether it be colleagues in the same school, or whether it's groups that are mixed groups from across Ontario, across the boards. I think having those spaces to have those conversations that are kind of really open-ended and really maybe lighthearted. Sometimes maybe a space that there can be a little bit of venting. Obviously, that's important. And when we come across maybe resources, finding those spaces to be able to share them out again. So if we come across something amazing, knowing how we can sort of share that out with our colleagues, whether it be through email or through a chat or through a social media location or something, having those kind of spaces to be able to go to and check in with each other and doing everything we can to not reinvent the wheel if we can help avoid that, and looking for those ways to find that light and that humor and some of the fun, because I think our kids are going to surprise us in these next few months. I know the kids that I got to engage with this summer, I've really, really enjoyed interacting with them, even though it was entirely online and I'd never met them before. And I had a ton of support from colleagues to make that happen. And that's so crucial. And there was lots of behind the scenes chat between colleagues and stuff, figuring out best practices and sharing resources, and not reinventing that wheel can be some of those big pieces for supporting each other. So just a couple of thoughts that I have seen kind of work so far.
Great. Inyal?
So again, I'm going to go back to the power of the collective, and I think one of the things that will and have helped us in these situations is really having colleagues to rely on, and colleagues to be vulnerable with, and colleagues to learn together with. And just speaking from the space that I have occupied in the last few months during COVID, one of the things that we always talk about is having a caring adult for our students in our spaces. And the importance of having a caring adult for an adult was very, very obvious during this time. Everyone needed someone else to walk them through, to ask those questions that they didn't feel comfortable asking in a larger a meeting with their colleagues. So really finding those groups of people that can connect. And in the space that I was with, there are a lot of divisions. So a lot of great teams got together and were sort of the support groups for each other. But other times it was, we had to actually kind of start a partnership so that someone always had another person. And I think having that human connection had to happen first. You got to find someone or just be there for each other. Be patient, listen, all those great things that we do as educators with our students, and we have to now do with each other as colleagues and acknowledge that. I think also a lot of people went to the Google Groups. So having Google Groups and having that opportunity to, again, connect with other educators, whether it be within their board Google Groups or even beyond, sharing information, sharing a lot of resources, information, ideas, problem solving through some of the technical issues that they were undergoing. I think a lot of our staff members relied on that, including myself, in these situations. And another one was really efficiency. So there was so many resources that was coming at all of us. And so, having an easy place for our educators to access that was important, because then the frustration level of finding it would sometimes deter the goal that they were going after. So we actually used a Google Classroom for our teachers and had everything organized by subfolders. So it was an easy place for educators to find it. But they were not the students, but they were also the creators of the Google Classroom. So they themselves can then post things instead of sharing it via email. So those were two things that really helped the educators in the building to sort of rely on each other, find the tools in an efficient way, so they were able to manage through the different tasks.
Great, thank you. Chantal?
I'm coming at it from a core French teacher perspective. So oftentimes you're the only teacher in your school. So it's difficult to find someone that can understand the challenges that you are facing in your school. So we started probably 2 years ago when it was still Google+. So we started a Google+ community for just our FSL teachers in our board, high school and elementary school. And teachers just started collaborating and sharing through that platform, and through the remote learning, the sharing and caring just took off. It was nice to see the support of those who had some technology background, helping some of those new teachers who had not embraced technology, who are now faced with that dilemma of how to reach their students and stuff. So that really created a sense of community and support amongst all of our FSL teachers, which I think we have about 75 teachers who actively are on that site. And it was a great sense of relief to many teachers, because you shared and things, you didn't have to reinvent the wheel, and it just grew from there. So we were excited to see where it's going to lead to next. Many high school teachers are now on it, and we've had people from other boards ask to be a part of it, to see all the sharing and all the curriculum that was developed from this platform. So definitely something to seek out for sure, is creating some kind of a community. As what was mentioned, the Google Classroom idea is great for your staff as well, but which is now, Google Plus is now called Currents, but still a really easy way to set up, and a great way to share and build that sense of community.
Great, thank you. Before I turn it to Kathy, I'm just going to throw a couple of comments up on the screen. So we have Anna Maria had that we need to help each other work smarter, not harder. Nicole, collaboration will be more important this year than ever, definitely. And having not even the courage, but I think it really have a good team in your school. And if you don't have that, having a PLN, even online, people that you can reach out to. It might not even be someone in your subject discipline. It might be someone that can help you with technology, or just someone that you can help with technology too. And then one more, Lindsay, is there a way that I can join the FSL Google Classroom? So Chantal, is that possible, or is that just within your board?
It's not a Google Classroom, it's a Currents, and I think at the moment it's just open to our board, but definitely something that we can look into. If she wants to reach out and email me, we can set something up for sure.
Just so everyone knows as well, if you go to our at GEG Ontario Twitter site, there is a link with everyone's profile, and everyone's Twitter handle should be there. So if you connect with them through that, you could probably direct message just to get an email address. Okay. Kathy, can I turn it to you?
Sure can. Hi there. Thanks, Mike. Just a couple things. I think we all need to remember the power and the importance of our mindset, right? We know the attitude is just a little thing that just makes a big difference. And I hear people talking a lot about supporting with content, and certainly a lot there. I've, as principal of a school, I've always had the staff be a part of Google Classroom and open to everyone, from supporting with curricular needs and supporting specific questions about students or student families, to just having fun challenges, and then really supporting each other's mental health, like really being explicit to take time to ask people online or face-to-face in school, like how are you really doing? Not this, how are you doing and keep walking by, which is so typical, I think, in so many different scenarios, but really, really finding the time and the space to check in with people and just listen and learn and connect, finding ways to connect. And Jocelyn, I'm with you. I think it's got to be about fun. We need fun more this year than ever, I think. And
right.
Oh yeah. Some of the ways I know, just little challenges. I find that staff, I've been fortunate. I think all the staff that I've ever worked with have really enjoyed kind of school-wide challenges just for the teachers. That kids usually find out about it, and it's kind of, a treat for them as well to see, a group of teachers doing something together, or whole staff doing something, even if it's a kindness challenge, or, kids are always putting Post-it notes to each other about kindness challenges, but to have the staff involved in something like that as well, I think small little tokens of appreciation to each other in terms of really checking in on people and trying to boost people's spirits and help them out when they're down. And even, we used to have, Jocelyn, I don't know if you remember this, we used to have like get out of duty free cards, kind of like,
yes.
So
I do remember that.
You could do that kind of thing now, but it's just like these little things that are supporting to say, I know you need 10 minutes, I'm going to do your duty, or whatever it is, just something really to help. And, I think teachers are so good about getting each other drinks and things, but I'm not so sure how that's going to work this year. So we really have to be creative and think of other ways. Can we meet online to have, a book chat, or talk about a movie, or, what's the best thing on Netflix? I mean, it might seem very frivolous, but I think those conversations just really help to bring the calm and the peace and the connection to those that we're working with. So I think we need to think of just all the different ways that we can support each other, really just checking in with people's mental health.
I am.
It's not what I'm passionate about.
Following up with that, you know what I have to say? I live in a rental apartment building, so I have a landlord, and throughout this whole time, at the beginning of every month, our landlord would give us a newsletter kind of thing, like an update, like here's how, what we're doing, here's how we're engaging and stuff, and here's some places in our local neighborhood that you could visit or you could check out. And that you're right, made a huge amount of difference just in terms of feeling really supported and feeling like we kind of had that community here, even though we were kind of on lockdown in our building. So those sorts of things can be just amazing and fun. yeah, I think that sort of stuff is so crucial, whether it's in your community where you live or in your school where you work. Those sorts of pieces are so crucial.
Yeah, makes you feel connected, and that's the sensible.
Absolutely.
Can go so far.
Yep.
And happy teachers are happy students, and kids will know how you're doing outside of work, right?
Yeah.
It's important.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm-hmm.
So as far as communicating goes, there's some resources. The resources and stuff that we have here are great ways to sort of start to look for some things. I don't know. Mike, what do you think? Oh, I think he's on mute. Mike's muted. Mike?
Thank you.
There we go. Gotcha.
All the messages. I've already read it, so I will read it a second time. How about that? There we have the copy of Mental Health Check-In, the Google form that Kathy did at the start, as well as a video tutorial. The first 10 days and beyond, creating caring connections and supporting student mental health and well-being during the return to school. A tip sheet for staff to support positive mental health for all students. Also, EduProtocol's Smart Start. A slide deck for self-paced learning, as well as a HyperDocs website as well. Also, keep following our GEG Ontario. I still say our, but I probably still will be contributing some of the things to it, even as I've moved on, because I'm sure there will be it will be a bit of a hub, especially at the start of the school year, for all of us to try and get through this too. Just going to check here. Okay, so here's our GEG resource sheet. Join our group and yeah, stay a part of it. Hopefully we get to have some face-to-face sessions this year. It's been a while. We did have some sessions at Google in Toronto downtown, and hopefully we're able to do that soon. My phone's going in the background. Sorry about that. I'm just going to go to the comments and see if there are any last comments or questions or any other things that people would like to bring up. We're getting close to our hour.
People are sharing some great ideas in the chat. Love it. I hope people take away some fun ideas for moving on into the next round of things, whatever it's going to look like.
I have to say, this is my first time using StreamYard, and this has been a great resource. I'd really like to try to use this because it really is ease of use, and it really does give a very professional feel to it.
Yep. I agree. It's a great tool. So, and that is what we're using, by the way. We are using StreamYard behind the scenes here with our YouTube Live. So that's allowed us to do a couple of these really neat things. So if that's something you're interested in, then StreamYard.com, I think, is where you go to check it out. It can be a great tool for this kind of interaction.
Well, if there isn't anything else, I think we can probably look to wrap up. Thank you to everybody who joined us. And I mean, we had some people stay for the full hour, so we definitely appreciate that. And I'll pre-thank people who are going to watch this later on because it will be on our YouTube channel. So I think with that, feel free to chime in, everyone on the panel, but I will wrap up by saying I wish everybody a very happy, safe, and exciting year, and especially the startup. hopefully we all keep our stress levels down and everyone in our care safe.
Great. Thanks, everyone. I think we're going to have certainly an unusual year, but we know that our kids are awesome and amazing. And whatever happens and all the bumps that we're going to experience, you know, you've got your amazing colleagues out there, and we know that we've got those fantastic students to come back to. It's all going to play out. We will get there together. We will get there.
Jocelyn, I'm glad. I know you're always saying we've got fantastic students. I'm glad you added in there too that we've got fantastic colleagues. We really do. I mean, this
so amazing
has brought out unbelievable like creativity and innovation like I've never seen in 30 years in education like this.
Isn't that true, right?
Things I've seen have just been so inspiring. That's why I can't possibly just leave and retire and turn things off. I'm like, because a lot of people say, oh, you must be very glad to be out now. Well, no, I'm not. It's actually, I think it's a wonderful time to be together in education and supporting in a different way and doing things new. And we're certainly invigorated. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So yeah, I wish everyone.
Completely agree with you there, Kathy.
I'm sorry?
Completely agree with you there. The partnerships and the relationships that have emerged from this time, I think, is something that will last. And I think it's a contagious thing that will continue. And it's going to be that collaboration and that connectivity that helps us get through whatever is coming our way.
Yes.
All right. I think Mike is muted again.
Sorry, I'm muted again.
It's all good.
Yeah, hopefully that's not the start of something common this school year. Would anyone else like to say goodbye before we sign off? I think we do have a slide with some links for connecting there too.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Great. Well, we will sign off. Take care, everybody. Have a great year. See you soon.
Bye, everyone. We'll see you next time.